Lots of people think baseball is boring, and I disagree, but I get it. It's not for everyone. It's a lot of standing around. There's a lot to keep track of. There are rules that don't make sense, and to the untrained eye, it can feel like just watching two friends play a nice game of catch while a stranger stands in between them with a big stick and tries to ruin the fun. Now, when you decide to be the stranger with the big stick trying to ruin the fun, you do not have it easy. You are out there all alone in a situation that is designed for you to fail 70% of the time. Sometimes you've got friendly faces out there looking back at you, but your opponents will always outnumber you at least 2-1. The defense wins all the time because that's how the game works. But sometimes you just blast one up into the second deck. And every strikeout, every bad call, every ground out foot race you lost by a hair, none of that matters anymore. Because this time, you won. Now, those aren't the only things that Elden Ring PvP has in common with baseball. For example, it makes a lot of people really mad for no reason, and the core of it is psychological warfare between two players on defense and one player on offense. And that's what this video is about today. When you do invasions, something that you will see all the time at every level is passive squads. People who just kind of expect the invader to walk onto the outstretched tip of their sword and just die, just walk into a blender and die. Like at the very beginning of this invasion, you saw the player with the great sword see me and wiggle their sword at me and not advance toward me. And what that means is come and get me. You know, it's a pretty safe assumption that this is a dead level. I'm not going to have any backup from any of the PvE. The PvE that they're headed toward is negligible. I think it's like one banished knight and that's it before the grace. So they are at a clear advantage and they know it. So what do you do about that? The answer is shoot them with the hand ballista and make them really mad at you. And it's not even about doing big damage. Like, any damage will do. You don't even have to have the stats for the cannon or the ballista or whatever. All you're trying to do is just irritate them. Like, 50 damage at a time will do. Because if you just annoy a passive squad enough, suddenly the only thing they care about is killing the invader. And if they're focused on killing the invader and not paying any attention to their surroundings, they will make mistakes. And when you capitalize on those mistakes, you win the invasion. Like, this is a win for me. I didn't get the final blow on the host or anything, but I created the conditions that led to the host panic rolling off of the cliff to their death. If your presence in the world leads to the host dying, you win. Sometimes the host does it for you. Like, sometimes just the threat of any damage at all is enough to do the trick. This host was solo with the Taunter Tongue on. It was a really long run to get there, so on the way I checked in the PSN menu how many people were in the group, and they didn't want to fight, which is the point of the Taunter Tongue. Like, if you don't want to get harassed by an invader, there's a very simple way to avoid it, which is don't turn on the fucking Taunter's Tongue. This one's a fun one. This is like a 15-minute long invasion that I have sped up significantly. Usually I would just cut around this, but I sped it up because I wanted you to see how long of a walk it was, just to get a good position on these co-opers. And once I, finally get into position, this will be a good demonstration of what the ballista is good for. The first couple of shots tells the squad, 1, I have found you. 2, I am in a place that you can't reach. 3, I am very serious about killing you and I'm not going to be cute about it. Because kind of the same as the last invasion in Stormvale, like, I know where I am. This is Limgrave. 2 co-opers, even just at level 15 or whatever level they are, 2 co-opers can stomp all of the PvE in this area very easily if they know what they're doing even a little bit. So I need to be the only thing that these guys are thinking about so that they get distracted and make a mistake. Now, don't get me wrong, the damage from the ballista is nice. As you'll see right there, that's easily the best shot I've ever made. You can see the host chugging his flask, which is huge for me because, as you know, the host has way more flasks than I do. And so if you find yourself in a prime position like that, you would, you're leaving money on the table by not just pestering them and just wearing them down and chipping them down and trying to turn it into a war of attrition. Like, if I run out of these explosive ballista bolts, you know, you only get 20 per invasion. If I run out of these explosive ballista bolts, then the worst thing that happens to me is I have to go and fight them with my sword, which I was already planning on doing anyway. But if I keep pestering them and wearing down their flasks, the worst thing that happens to them is they can't heal anymore. And if you can't heal with an invader chasing you down and pressuring you and not giving you any space, you're dead. You know, a lot of the difficulty of Souls games comes down to when can you heal, how often, and how many times before you run out. All the phantoms combined are going to have way more flasks than you. The host is almost certainly going to have way more flasks than you just on their own. So anything you can do to take those flasks away from them to even the playing field, you should be doing. Of course, that only matters so much when your opponent has 400 hit points. But, you know, I didn't really know that. You always have to assume the worst, so you just soften them up however you can. I'm going to go ahead and speed up this invasion because once the Phantom is dead, nothing interesting happens in it, and I just have to chase this guy down and put him out of his misery. He put up a decent fight, though. I appreciate that at the very least. So many hosts just give up and run away, and I've mentioned before that really bums me out. So, you know, even when I just have to chase down a host, I'm grateful for the, for someone returning fire. Speaking of returning fire, this is a fun invasion. This is, well, I think this was the first one I did when I started recording all these the other day. And this is kind of when it started to click for me about using the ballista, because like this guy, I mean, you'll see what level he is at the end of the clip. You know, spoiler alert, I kill him. But you know, this guy is very high level and just has all of these lasers that he can just pester me with to infinitely. And if I try and rush him down, positioning wise, they kind of have the advantage right now. So I have to figure out how to make him come to me. And wouldn't you know it, the host is inexperienced enough to just separate from the Phantom and tries to come and get some smoke on their own, which is what you want. I mean, it's not what you want if you are trying to have like a big, long, drawn-out fight. You know, I like to, especially at this level, at level 15, I like to try and kill as many of the Phantoms as I can before I go to the host, because the host often is the least experienced of the squad and gives me the least interesting fight. But at this point in the invasion, I have succeeded at dislodging them from their position. You know, I don't have to rush them down across an open field while this wizard blasts me with a spell that you can only get from the Halig tree. We're gonna mix it up now. We're gonna mix it up a little bit now. This Phantom's name is Give Me Runes, which is very funny because the whole time I was thinking, no, you are going to give me runes, and I am going to take those runes. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to buy more explosive great bolts from the merchant at Mount Gelmir, where I buy my explosive bolts so that I can pester more hosts and Phantoms with them. Like, I like to, because I go through the explosive great bolts so quickly, what I do is something that I picked up from a Saint Riot video, which is I will just stand in front of that merchant in Mount Gelmir and invade from there, and anytime I kill a super high level Phantom, I just turn around and buy as many great bolts as I can. You know, they're 800 runes each. So if I kill a Phantom that gives me 5 digits worth of runes, that's a lot of great bolts, and that's how I afford my ammunition. Carry and Retaliation goes on every build, no matter what. You just, you do carry a manner, you gotta do carry a manner, no matter what. It doesn't even matter if you don't know how to parry weapons. Like, you need it on every build for this, because everyone you fight will have 1 million laser beams to shoot at you, and you need an answer for it. And, you know, if you are using Carry and Retaliation on a bunch of projectiles, one of two things happens. One is they learn that if they spam projectiles at you, they're just going to get it right back in the form of those glint blades. which takes those projectiles away from them. Like, you've shut down probably a core component of their build, and now they have to readjust and do something else that they're probably less comfortable with. Phantom was level 301, by the way. And if they don't learn their lesson and they keep spamming you, then that's free damage for basically no FP. You need it on every build. And parrying is not that hard, it turns out. I mentioned in the last video, I've been teaching myself how to parry, and I have been landing parries in PvP, and it turns out the way to learn how to parry is just walk up to your opponent and press L2 when you think they're gonna swing. Like, you just gotta try it. Obviously, it's a little bit more complicated than that. I'm oversimplifying. But it's not that hard to get the feel for it, and once you get the feel for it, it is really rewarding. This is another invasion that I've just started leading off invasions where if I spawn far away from the host and the phantoms, I have just started leading off by pestering them with ballista bolts, because, you know, what's the harm? You might as well start softening them up before they can get to you. This time it's the phantom that rushes me down, which is, you know, fine by me. I want a good fight. This ends up being a tougher fight than I expected. I don't know if it's... I can't really tell if it's, like, latency or if the Phantom has light roll. I think they have light roll, but I can't really... It's hard for me to tell. You know, they've got the Blasphemous Blade, which can do a shit zillion damage. And I'm doing a decent job of catching them, but I can really only get, like, one hit at a time. So... once the host shows up, I gotta start thinking of alternate ways of dealing with this. I used to feel bad about running from fights like this when I am, you know, kind of outclassed just in a one-on-one in invasions, because I think to myself, I have spent enough time in the arena, I should be able to take a Phantom 1v1. But it's not the arena. Like, we're just all here for different reasons. For example, the Phantom, you know, the Phantom sells kills, boss kills. I don't know how he does it, but he ganks like a king, and he co-ops and he ganks and he fights and he wins. And when the host wins, well, certainly, boys, what else? The host pays him, yes sir, but he doesn't know the territory. If you're going to invade an Elden Ring, I recommend knowing the territory. That's another move that I have ripped off from Saint Riot, is the get the Phantom to fall into the hole in Limgrave to kill them instantly misdirect. I've sped up the rest of the footage here because the rest of the footage is not interesting. It's just me trying to finish off the host and fucking around and taking too long like I always do, because I always try and practice parrying on the host or whatever. Let's talk about volcano pots. You get this crafting recipe from, I think, the merchant in Mount Gelmir, where you get the exploding bolts. Volcano pots go on every invader build. They go on every invader build. You can get these things, I think, without even killing a boss. I think you can just, like, run straight to Gelmir if you want to and climb up the ladder and buy the recipe for these. They are great. They do, like, I don't know, 250 damage total if every tick hits. It's like a little bit of hit stun, and most importantly, it's just like an area hazard. It's a way for you to, like, alter the shape of the terrain that you're fighting on, you know. They don't do a ton of damage. I mean, I guess they do decent damage at this level, but, like, the main thing that I use them for is just to say, hey, you can't stand right there anymore. You know, if I've got an over-leveled Phantom corner camping and playing footsie around the corner, I'll drop a volcano pot just to get him to move. I'll throw him, as you see here, I'll just throw him between a host and a Phantom just to say, hey, if you want to back up your buddy, it's going to cost you about 150 hit points, and they have to choose whether or not that's worth it. But either way, it's good for me. They're also just a really good offensive tool. Like, if you have an enemy who's low on health and you know that they're in a room like this one, where they're not going to have a ton of room to roll around, you can throw one in there and it just chokes them to death. Like, it's just oppressive. It's kind of like, so I don't have enough int for Night Maiden's Mist, which any build that I have that can have 14 int, I just keep Night Maiden's Mist on it. For the same reason as volcano pots. But I think I like the volcano pots even more than the spell because they don't require any sort of stat investment, and it's quicker to throw a volcano pot than it is to cast Night Maiden's Mist, I think. The volcano pot is just faster, and you can carry a million of them with you. And they work really, really well. They're just so good at making an enemy decide whether holding the spot that they're in is worth the, 150 or 200 damage or whatever. It's just now occurring to me that I have to figure out how to keep talking for 10 entire minutes longer than this. This project just got really real really quickly. I saved way too many gameplay clips from this. Okay, what do we got here? This is another volcano pot clip, I think. I just don't fight in this room anymore. Like, I have had too many Grace Goblins and too many, like, hidden, overleveled Phantom gankers just blender me in that room. Once you're in, it's hard to get out. I just don't fight there anymore. This guy's got Stormblade, and he really wants you to know it. I can use the volcano pot to separate the Phantom from the host. But these guys will have projectile Ashes of War. It makes it hard to close in, so, back off, retreat. They don't follow me into the level because they're just ganking and aren't interested in playing through the level, which tells me that I can probably get another use out of a volcano pot. Whoosh! God, Stormblade is a great mix-up. Like, I don't hate that it exists, but the way that people use it drives me insane. I had wanted to try Giant Hunt as a punish after a Dark Break for a while because I didn't know if it would work, and I tried it twice on this guy and it didn't work, which leads me to believe that it just doesn't work, which is kind of a shame. I like Giant Hunt. As soon as the host is dead, I know it's safe to do what I've wanted to do the entire invasion, which is pull out Stormblade and spam this guy with it so that you can see how he likes it. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. This is another fun one. This is kind of the culmination of everything that I've been saying up to now, which basically just boils down to be annoying from range, which is what I wanted to do to this Phantom. I just didn't want to let him relax. I did not think that it was going to kill him, but I am not complaining. So roll down, make sure nobody's behind me, see that the other two are in that room, and guess what? I'm not walking into that room to get blendered with the limited ways out, and you're insane for thinking that I would. So I'm just gonna be annoying and try and draw these guys out, or push them out the back, or draw one of them back in closer to me, because, like I said, PvE is not going to be much use. All I want is for them to be chasing me in the opposite direction of wherever they are currently headed. Like, I just want to fuck with them and make them greedy, or make one of them overcommit, or make one of them make some kind of mistake. I've been using these Cuckoo Glintstones too. They're pretty good. They're okay. They're not my favorite, but like, they're great for just another projectile that you can have to bug people. Chip them down, flush them out, make them make a mistake, something. Because, yeah, like I said, I am not going in there under these conditions. Someone is going to have to change the conditions. Here's a change in the conditions. If I was smart, I would be rushing in right now. It's bizarre that I didn't. Like, the host is separated, the host is low on health, you can see exactly where the host is, and I think I just thought the pot was going to kill him, so I didn't stay on the ball, which was, I didn't end up getting punished for it, but, like, close call, huh? I love these fights here on the castle walls of Stormvale. One of the reasons why I started invading low level again is because I wanted to invade a lot of Stormvale, and there is so much Stormvale activity at 15. It's the best. Okay, this is the last one I have for you this time. And if you're looking at the runtime and you're thinking this is the last one you have for me this time, I have sped up portions of this clip considerably, and I've just outright cut even more. Like, this was almost a 15-minute long invasion. So I've had to cut it down really aggressively. And man, this one just rocks. The whole time I was in it, I was like, I cannot believe this is how this is gonna unfold. I just followed these guys through almost their entire journey through Castle Morn, just all in one go, and I never engaged with them directly. I was able to just position myself and harass them with volcano pots and the hand ballista and become just a fun little like level hazard for them as they make their way through the dungeon. This right here is a good opportunity to talk about Margit's Shackle. That's right, it's too late. I've barred the doors and windows. You're trapped in here with me, and you have to listen to me explain Margit's Shackle. I try and keep Margit's Shackle on every invader build because it's useful for catacombs and dungeons and stuff like that, because they activate it. Because it activates the flame pillars. It just flips the switch on all of the flame pillars in the dungeon, which is great because then you can use that to antagonize unsuspecting co-opers. It was right around this time that I started thinking about trying to optimize the hand ballista a little bit more. Like, I could go get the arrow sting talisman, I could go and beat Morgott and unlock the mountaintops so I can get the lightning great bolts and carry double the amount of great bolts on me. You know, like there are more ways to optimize this. But I think I'm gonna hold off because I don't want it to become like my primary source of damage. Like I don't want to be relying on it to just like win invasions for me when what I mostly want are just sword fights. I've switched to the regular ballista bolts here because I don't have the lightning great bolts because I haven't beat Morgott, and so I haven't unlocked the mountaintops of the giants yet. So I'm using the regular ballista bolts, not expecting to hit them, but just to keep pressure on them. Jump down, scope out the scene, see what's going on here, see if I can maybe make a play. You'll see right here, I look off to my left and make sure I know where my escape route is for in case this turns sideways. At this point, I have lost track of the host, and the Phantom is stuck at the top of this tower like a treed cat. And this is when pretty much the slickest kill of my life happens. Because this is all psychological warfare, I decide to use the ballista bolts, the regular ballista bolts, to test him, to suss out his behavior. Because the first couple times I shot at him, he like dodge rolled out of the way, like that. But then, after a couple of times of dodge rolling away, he started just stepping away instead of rolling. I assume because he had started to think that it was too easy and he was going to stunt on me by, you know, I don't even need to roll or whatever. So he stopped doing that. I shoot at him one more time to make sure that he's still stepping, and then blow his ass up from the back. I was over the moon that worked. I could not believe that worked. So now I can rush up the ladder and finish off the host, because I assume the host ran up the ladder before the Phantom, because any good Phantom would make sure that the host got up the ladder to safety before they did. I forget that not everybody is a good Phantom. Where the fuck is the host? I don't know where the host... I have completely lost the host. Can you spot the host? See if you can... The host is in earlier clips. Like, you can see them. But I couldn't. Press the advantage. At this point, I'm trying to test, like, compass distances to try and figure out. And then, who's that? I reacted pretty calmly to this in-game, but, like, to me in real life on my couch, I yelped. The host scared the bejesus out of me. And, like, it's a great invasion right up to the end. Like, the host doesn't give up. They're, like, not very, you know, experienced in PvP, as you can see. But, like, they don't give up. They didn't lay down and die. They just kept going right up until the end, and I loved that. So I swapped to the Sword and Board one last time. I lately have been leading off with this, but I also use it as my setup for just finishing off a host after all their help is gone. Because it's, you know, it's still plenty deadly, but it doesn't feel mean. Go for another parry. That one was, I think, just a little bit too late. And yeah, just try and finish this host off. I love that they're using kick. And it's not just like a oh, cute little host. Like, they use kick pretty well. They use, like, I've never had it used this effectively against me unless I was holding a shield. So this is the best invasion I've ever done. And for that, you can thank the hand ballista and volcano pots and knowing the level and spite. Build's done. I'll show you the numbers in the next video, or you can see them when I open my character sheet or something. Level 15, +3, and that's all. Okay, goodbye.